Hey everyone, Bernard here. I'm here with the latest Citizen vlog, and today we're having a look at moments in time and having a look at a certain gentleman called Tony Buck. And the sort of date that leads us to this is the date that he signed for City from Bath, the 20th of July 1966. That was an interesting year, wasn't it, for football? I think this guy had signed for City a couple of years earlier. Who knows? He may have been in that wonderful World Cup team. You just don't know, do you? Hey, you can always dream, can't you? Yeah, so please welcome to Tony Buck, today's Moments in Time. Please, if you're new to the channel, push that old subscribe button there. Push the bell notification so you know when these little vlogs and specials are coming out, etc. Yeah, so we're looking at the 20th of July 66 is when he signed, obviously, but I'm leaping forward a little bit from that day because obviously the starting point that I want to do is quite unusual. It's a testimonial game, and it's quite unusual because obviously testimonial games, you're always thinking 10 years minimum, aren't you? But obviously because of the special circumstances with Tony Buck, the actual testimonial took place on the 27th of November 1974, which obviously I was at this, obviously. So it was a bit different to the norm. So I started with this, and we'll have a look back. It's little bits, little highlights. Is there any low lights? I'm not too sure if there's any low lights. And highlights of his little managerial stint, and he has sort of stepped up to the plate a couple of times since as well, just to take over for us. And we all know Skip, as he's obviously called as well, is still there. Yeah. So I'm looking at this today, and. The chairman's message at the time, this is the chairman of the testimonial committee, and he's explained a little bit about the testimonial. It is not often that we can pay tribute to a football manager at the outset of his career, but then tonight is different, for although Tony Buck is but a young manager, it is as a footballer that we honour him this evening. It went all posh then, didn't it? Tony is one of those greats who make football a late starter, certainly as far as the First Division is concerned, for it is a little unusual to hear of a 31-year-old fullback being transferred. But then Tony Buck is unusual, a man who dedicated himself to the game and to giving entertainment. He gave of his best at all times without thinking what was in it for him. With such devotion and loyalty to the club, it is hard to think of him as anything but a Mancunian. Tonight gives us an opportunity to show our appreciation to a man whose conduct at all times has been impeccable, a man who in his playing career has inspired many an up-and-coming young footballer, and who today has the respect of professionals everywhere. My committee and I have had many frustrations and disappointments, but thanks to the cooperation given to us by the Board of City, Sir Matt, who's also on the committee, and all our stars, and to the advertisers, match officials, friends and anyone who has helped to make tonight possible, we can now give a fitting tribute to Tony Buck, the footballer. Yeah, so obviously it goes on to show you the images. I mean, that famous image, you've seen that with the trophies, haven't you? Obviously lifting the FA Cup up that he'd received from the Princess of Wales at Wembley. So you get all these things. Obviously had a wonderful playing career, no doubt I'll touch upon that in another vlog one day. And obviously you got his full facts and figures. Anthony Keith Buck, born September the 4th, 1934 in Bath. School, West Tiverton Secondary. Clubs, Frome, Bath, Plymouth and Manchester City. Joined City July the 20th, 1966 and made his debut on August 20th, 1966 versus Southampton away. Transfer fee, £17,500, not a small amount. Representative honours, nil. Shocking, absolutely shocking. Other honours, obviously at this stage, 1974 as a player. League Championship, 68. FA Cup winners, 69. Joint Footballer of the Year, 69. League Cup winners, 1970. Cup winners, 1970. And married Sylvia March the 30th, 1957. Tracy aged 8 and Anthony aged 6 of his children. That's at 1974, don't forget. He lives in Sale, Cheshire, or he did then. I'm not sure where he lives now. Smokes and drinks occasionally. Hobbies, golf. Superstitions, non-league appearances, 323. Goals, 7. Appointed manager, of course, April the 12th, 1974. And the team that he had starring for City that night was McRae, Hammond, Donachie, Doyle, Clark, Oak, Sunby, Bell, Marsh, Hartford, Chewett and Barrett. The All-Stars included players like Shilton, Lampard, obviously not Frank, Kendall, Watson, so even he was at Sunderland then, Emlyn Hughes, George Best. Obviously these are the ones that are down. George Best might not probably wouldn't have turned up. Trevor Brooking, Worthington, Keegan, Charlton, Tony Towers, yeah, another Sunderland player. Wagstaff, they must have perhaps tapped him up while they were there playing in this testimonial game. So that was a Manchester City 11 versus an All-Stars 11. Yeah, and he'd actually taken over as at the end of, he was obviously assistant to Ron Saunders, who left at the end of the previous season. So obviously on Saturday the 20th of April 1974 he was in charge of City, although there's no actual programme notes of him. They did actually squeeze in a great image of him and his family at home, which they'd had taken previously, so they actually put that into the programme. The bargain by skipper Tony Buck cost around 17,000, say 17,500. Led the Blues through the most glorious years. Wife Sylvia, 2 children, Tracy and Anthony, will now see less of him they've done before as he settles to a demanding job of manager. So that's not very good, is it? I mean, you've probably seen less and less of him, haven't you, as well, over the years. So yeah, he took over, and of course we can give him a great start, can't we? Because we can think about the game. One of his first games was the derby against United, the Dennis Law derby, obviously. And if you look at the little white marks, that's where I sellotaped it the corners onto my wall in my bedroom. So I was about 14 years. I went to this game and nearly got I nearly didn't see 15, but there you go. That's another story, isn't it? I think we've all got a story, the ones who went to this game. Yeah, so that was where I sellotaped it to the bedroom wall. Those little marks. So this is the original one that I would have bought and carried around with me at Old Trafford, and would have had it stuck in my pocket. So it's not in bad condition, really, is it, for that? But what I always remember, one of my favourite covers was always this one. His first, obviously, full season in charge of City was the 1974-75 season. And I always remember this great image with Colin Bell. Obviously, it's Blackpool. The sun's out, and I always imagine all it's missing is Blackpool Tower in the background. But this was always one of my favourite covers, and obviously this was going to be his first season in charge, and he had to have a right-hand man, didn't he? And we'll talk about another right-hand man later, who some people obviously became a bit Brutusy, didn't he, at the time? But no, he got Mr. Tony Buck and Ian McFarlane, obviously, is his right-hand man, and he did just comment on it that they did plan to go be together in a partnership previously, but it's nothing to do with football. One of the most resolute partnerships active in soccer during the early 60s got back into business during the close season when 40-year-old Ian McFarlane delightfully accepted the offer to become a right-hand man to City manager Tony Buck. But it's not quite the type of double act they had laid plans for back in their playing days as fullbacks with non-league Bath City, so they both played at Bath. We were going into a fish and chip shop business together, laughs Ian, a solid 6-foot Scot. So yeah, they were going to do that, and then he goes on to say later, the first blow was that we lost the shop. A rival businessman nipped in and offered more money. Something we couldn't compete with. But the second event changed our lives entirely. This is still McFarlane talking. It was the arrival of Malcolm Allison. So this is obviously where Tony Buck first, and obviously another right-hand man on the horizon, isn't there? It was the arrival of Malcolm Allison as manager of Bath. He introduced an excitement and enthusiasm into football that was amazing. Tony had always been a good fullback, a tragic loss to the league game, and quite quickly Malcolm had him ready to start from scratch like a 2-year-old. And when I saw Malcolm's enthusiasm, the way he could get response from players, I realised there was still something worth learning about, worth being involved in. When my playing had to finish, I forgot all about becoming a businessman and set my sights on a career in coaching. So yeah, so that was his new right-hand man, Mr. McFarlane. He's obviously team for that sort of his bedding in. It's not a bad little team, is it? As you say, if you know, obviously he went on to do some really good things for City and so close to a league title. McRae, Barrett, Donachie, Doyle, Booth, Oakes, Lee, Bell, Marsh, Hartford, Chewett. I mean, that's not a bad 11, is it? That's not a bad 11. That's a really good team. And obviously we know, don't we? We don't have to go on too much about his first achievement. The first person to be a player and a manager to lift the League Cup, because obviously it was still fairly newish, only 13, 14 years old, the League Cup, 15, 16 years old, the League Cup then, but he became the first man as a player and a manager to lift the League Cup, Tony Buck, so quite an achievement there. There's a great image of him with the League Cup with his mum. That's his mum. Trying to find a name now. A proud mum, 71-year-old Mabel Buck. There's the image of him and his mum with the League Cup. It's a great image, I love that. I mean, he did all right. I mean, obviously as a manager, he won a few awards. He won the manager of the month award a few times. Always a Bell's bottle of whiskey, wasn't it? I mean, they become You know, you could put your 10p's and your 5p's and your 20, you know, all your different pennies in those, couldn't you? And obviously the 76-77 season, we finished runners-up to Liverpool, didn't we? We won the League Cup in 76 and we came so close, just lost by a point. It wasn't as close as it looked, so I think it was sort of more or less decided a couple of games from the end. But again, if you look at any of my vlogs, we've talked about that before. But during that season, obviously this was in January, over Christmas time, obviously Joe Mercer had visited and met Tony Buck, so they'd had a picture taken together. So that was 76, 77, 77, 78. It was a bit of a failure, bit of a damp squib. But on 78, 79, before it all turned a little bit sour, we had a great run, didn't we, in the UEFA Cup, 1978, 79, and it coincided. We beat 20 Enschede, I remember. I mean, I was getting all giddy, me. Standard Liège and AC Milan. So we got through, I think it's to the quarter-finals, but we beat 3 great teams there. And interestingly enough, that was just before Christmas time, and obviously in the 15th of January 1979 programme, we've got we've lost someone, haven't we? We've got another right-hand man has joined the club, and obviously on his reflections of the season, Tony Buck goes to explain what's happened and why, etc. He just goes on, just quoting from the magazine. So much has happened over the last few weeks. So this obviously was This was now Christmas 1978. Over the last few days, it's been difficult to decide what to leave out from notes I have compiled, particularly since I feel it is relevant for fans to know my feelings about the year gone by. Unquestionably, it is my appointment of Malcolm Allison as the man in charge of first team coaching and tactics that has roused most interest and made the period one of the most memorable in the club history. It's a move I needed to make in view of the increasing disappointments with our form. So although we're having a great run in the European competition, league form wasn't too hot. It is the stimulant we have needed, and I talk with a lot of knowledge on the subject, having been discovered, developed and given my league background in the game by the big fellow. Yeah, we touched upon that earlier, didn't we? It was over the Christmas period, while I reviewed our form and the inexplicable cause of our decline in domestic competitions, that I first considered taking some action. I surveyed many options, bluntly being aware that unless I sought a solution from outside, then I could not expect much sympathy for the slow decline in our league status. Sympathy is never an answer. Positive action is. I recalled a conversation with Big Mel when he watched the team play in the League Cup at Southampton last month. I sensed he still had a strong feeling for the club and was also tinged with disappointment at our defeat. Yeah, so he telephoned him for a general chat. And obviously he had to tell his other right-hand man he was obviously getting rid. And obviously Malcolm Allison came in. I'm sure Mr. Swells was very happy. Obviously always a big fan of Malcolm Allison. Obviously this was January 1979. Obviously by January 80 it had all changed around, hadn't it? And yeah, we started the quarter final with Borussia Mönchengladbach, and unfortunately that's a great image. I think that was the AC Milan of Tony Buck celebrating. We only managed a 1-1 draw in the home leg, and I've actually got obviously the away leg, and that's actually from the ground, because I did have a brother-in-law who used to go to a lot of the games at the time, and he's actually got a couple of travel tickets as well from that, where he went to Germany from the brother-in-law. And obviously I think that's the match ticket so that's from David, who used to go to most of all the City games, and obviously in all those years. So that's some nice memorabilia. Yeah, so we lost the away leg 3-1, unfortunately. So, but as I said, we did sort of get the feeling. I had the feeling that we were going to do well that year. It was such a shame, but league form wasn't fantastic, was it? That was the thing. And obviously by the 15th of May 1979, we were playing Aston Villa at Main Road. City, yeah, we're 3rd, 6th, 8th, 10, about 14th. I think we finished 14th that season, which was disappointed from being runners up and then 4th, and just when we ended up obviously in the last season that this turned out to be for Tony Buck, we ended up being 14th, which was a bit of disappointment. And interestingly enough, in the home programme, the Tony Buck talking thing, mean, obviously he's optimistic. He's obviously sad about what's happened, but he's optimistic for the future. Little was he to know that obviously a certain Mr. Allison would then be put back in charge. Would be put in charge sooner rather than later. And Tony Buck talking, it all went wrong, and the job now is to put it right. I cannot recall a season filled with more disappointments. For many of the weeks, it has been a painful duty to sit down and try to offer explanations for the way the 78-79 season disintegrated before our very eyes. I feel that I've trod the ground frequently. I think we were actually top early doors, and then it just sort of got worse and worse. I feel like I've trod the ground frequently in giving my honest appraisal of the things that went wrong, and that all thought and energies should be concentrated on repairing the damage, the injured pride, and ensuring that when we resume our preparation in July for the 79-80 season, we have sharpened appetites to be a successful club once more. We cannot afford another season like the one we are just completing. It is no place for City's name to be among the also-rans in every major competition, and this is why the margin for mistakes is now minimal. Yeah, well, there was no place for also-rans, and unfortunately Mr. Buck was considered an also-ran as well anyway, because at that stage, with crowd-wise, the crowds were in the 40,000s, average crowds. We'd clawed our way back within a few thousand of United's average, and as you say, it was sort of... it had gone okay, but obviously Mr. Buck wasn't going to get a chance, was he? But that's another vlog, isn't it? What happens after Mr. Blob? We know that, don't we? So obviously that was sadly the demise of his first tenure. As I said, he did have one or two little brief spells in charge after that. But anyway, what else have we got on Mr. Buck? I mean, obviously he's still currently honorary president. Skip is still honorary president of Manchester City, one of the honorary presidents, and he's also the life president of the Citizen Supporters Club. And of course, he was inducted into the Manchester City Hall of Fame in January 2004. Why is he not in the English Hall of Fame? I mean, it's shocking that he didn't get any caps for England, wasn't it? But there you go. Was he a plumber? I think he was a plumber. Anyway, we enjoyed that little bit on Tony Buck. As I said, it's our starting point was his testimonial. A quick look at his main tenure in charge at City. Not his last, but his main one, where he had a few years, didn't he? Won a League Cup and so nearly won the League Championship for us, and so nearly sort of had a good run in Europe as well. Probably the best run we had since the 1970 jaunt anyway, before recent times. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please follow me on Twitter for all the latest City news. If you're into movies and TV dramas, I'm on @Charles Deneen, Deneen spelled D-I-N-N-E-N, or @Nostalgia_movie. I follow everyone back on there, so I just check every couple of days. So if you want to follow her, follow me, I'll follow you back. I'm also on Facebook, and I also got links to my little website as well, moviegamenostalgia.com, where I sell old and rare DVDs, movie posters from the 1990s and 2000s, and board games as well. So you can spare a couple of minutes to have a look on moviegamenostalgia.com. Spare a split second to leave a thumbs up. I'll give you a visual thumbs up for looking at my site if you get a chance to have a look on there. So please, thumbs ups are always great. It's nice to get views, nice to get thumbs ups anyway. And please let me know in the comments what you think, or on Twitter. You got any special memories of Tony Buck you've got, Skip? I think I've shook his hand once, but I've not actually spoke properly to the gentleman. There's still time to remedy that, isn't there? I'm sure. Anyway, thanks for watching today. What are we going to do the rest of the day? Have a great one. Look after yourselves, look after your friends, look after your family, and more importantly, let's all look after each other. And this is Bernard. Hopefully you'll join me again for another Citizen vlog, past or present. Hopefully I'll see you all again very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.